unholy trio. In Egypt, she was called Isis. Notice the sun god. Notice their son. And notice Isis. And once again, in the earliest mythology, the name for Isis was Semiramis. The names change with cultures and times. But the book speaks very clearly about this in Jeremiah 7:16 and 18. Therefore pray not thou for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear thee. The children gather wood, the fathers kindle the fire, the women knead their dough, to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Various cultures had different names for this moon goddess. In 1 Kings 11:33, she's called Ashtoreth. At one time, the Babylonians called her Ishtar. For you can remember, possibly, if you've studied ancient history, the big gate that was the entrance to the city of Babylon was the Ishtar Gate. Now, speaking of Ishtar, way back in Babylonian culture, the Encyclopedia Britannica has this to say. The cult of Ishtar was universal in the ancient Near East. She was a universal goddess par excellence, whom kings, native and foreign, delighted to honor in capitals and major cities at all periods of Assyrio-Babylonian history. Her big holiday was in the springtime, the time of fertility, and her emblems were things of fast sexual reproduction. You know, friends, you may really be hearing your last call out of Babylon. The last part of Babylon must be shaken from your shoes. The last call out of Babylon is really emphasized in Revelation 18, where in verses 1 and onward it says, And the earth was lightened with his glory, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen. All nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and receive not of her plagues. So obviously, those who consider themselves his people, that is, people who belong to Christ, are still somewhat wrapped up in the tentacles of Babylon, because this call comes to them just before the 7 last plagues in the last hours. Notice Buddha, another no god. Notice how he's placed in the center of the sun disk. In this case, the priests and proclaimers of Buddha were supplanting the more ancient worship of the sun by putting Buddha in the center of it. Regardless, all gods other than the true God are really no gods at all. In fact, that's exactly what the Bible calls them, my friend. It calls these false gods no gods. Notice the Old Testament text, and then we'll read it from the New Testament text. In 2 Kings 19:18, notice the words. And they have cast their gods in the fire, for they were what? No gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they have destroyed them. Oh, the further you step away yourselves, the least likely you'll get burned. Look at the same idea now in the New Testament regarding the no gods. Acts 19:26. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. Oh, friends, past and future, all no gods are going to burn. In the future, the beast, the false prophet, and even Satan will burn. All of these are no gods according to the scriptures we understand. We're going to move to another part of the earth now. We're going to look at Rome. Here we are at the Pantheon. I've been told that the images have had their original pagan names replaced with the names of the apostles. But if you notice at the top of the building, you'll see a big open circle up there. That's called the Eye of the Sun, and it can still be seen up there at the apex. You see, artwork is another way of transferring satanic paganism into Christian culture. As an example, look at the sun disk. This is purported to be the place of the nativity where Christ was born. Now look at the sun disk and look at the rays. And what do the rays of the sun look like? Of course, serpents. Notice the sun disks around the people. Of course, sun disks weren't really around the people that you and I think of as people belonging to Scripture, but these were carryover from sun worship characters. Notice, please, this Phoebus Apollos in his chariot. Phoebus Apollos was a god of Greece, and he was the one whose golden chariot raced across the sky, and you can see the sun disk and the wheel and the sun disk around his head and so on. Actually, this picture is a stained glass window in a Christian church. Another way of maintaining pagan culture is to carry over pagan holidays into Christian culture. At first, these holidays maintained their original pagan names, but gradually they changed. Notice this one, Natali Invicti Solus. Can you see that? It means birthday of the invincible sun. Quoting from Alexander Hislop, I read, "The 25th of December was observed at Rome as a day when the victorious God reappeared on earth. The festival was called the Natali Invicti Solus." What was it? The birthday of the invincible sun. Other cultures knew it as the birthday of Tammuz, because his birthday was also purported to be what we call December 25, and still others the birthday of Mithra. Notice the winged serpent. All gods spawned upon this earth over the ages are really no gods at all. They're simply the creations from the mind of man. Even Satan himself is one more no god. He's but a shrewd fallen angel. Notice here the winged serpent again. You see, there are no gods spawned all around the globe with their holidays and sacred seasons. I want you to notice some of their sacred seasons. In Islam, it has its famous Ramadan. My source says that this is a 30-day holy period. During these days, no food is eaten during the daylight hours. Thailand has a celebration of Theravada. As people meet, water is playfully thrown by one on the other. Gambling, usually frowned upon, is permitted for the 3-day festival. The main religious festival is Wesak, celebrated on the full moon of the month of Vishaka, which is April or May. This is kind of a copy of Passover and unleavened bread, which is also in April. Let's look at a few more of these non-Christian holidays. Everyone has a right to their own holiday on this globe. We're simply looking at the non-Christian ones right now. Hinduism has a 4-month festivals. At the end of winter, the beginning of the rainy season, autumn. Holi has features of a fertility rite. It's celebrated for 5 days in March, April again, April area, with bonfires, unrestrained street dancing, and processions. Red powder is thrown by celebrants on each other, and images of gods are born in decorated automobiles. When I was in Japan, I saw one of the temples of the ancient Shinto religion, where they had their purification rites, ceremonial bathing, food and cloth offerings, waving of purification wands, accompanied with recital of ritual formulas. And I've been told that also an entire year, in fact every year, is dedicated, such as the year of the horse and the year of the dragon, the year of the rabbit, and so forth. You see, scores of religions have had their days, times, months, years, and seasons. But they are simply the days, months, times, and seasons of the no gods according to the Scriptures we believe. That's what the Bible calls them, no gods at all. So you can begin to understand why Paul was so upset when he saw his own converts re-embracing their old pagan holidays and the beggarly elements of fertility rites, human sacrifices, and all of the things that went along with them. Notice the text. I'm going to bring it up on the screen for you. Galatians 4, 8 through 12. You can just hear Paul's aggravation over this thing. Verse 8, "Howbeit then, when ye knew not God, ye did service to them which by nature are